Sa ating press briefing ngayong araw, December 11. We have been observing since November 25 this year the 18-day campaign to end violence against women, or VOW. This campaign calls for unity among all genders and sectors of society to finally put an end to violence in all its forms. With the recurring campaign theme, United for a VOW-Free Philippines, and its 2024 sub-theme, VOW Bigyang Wakas Ngayon na ang Oras, this highlights the urgency of the advocacy in line with the commemoration of the 20th anniversary of the signing of the Anti-VOWC Act of 2004. To discuss with us the 18-day campaign to end VOWC, we are joined today by the chairperson of the Philippine Commission on Women, Ermelita V. Valdeavilla, Department of Social Welfare and Development Assistant Secretary Attorney Elaine F. Falarcuna, Department of Justice Assistant Secretary Michelle Ann S. Lapus, and Police Lieutenant Colonel Andre D.D.C. Abella, Officer in Charge, Anti-Violence Against Women and Children Division, PNP Women and Children Protection Center. Good morning. Let's start with the Chairman.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Fellow members of the panel, ASEC Michelle Ann Lapus of DOJ, ASEC Elaine Falarcuna of DSWD, Police Lieutenant Colonel Andre D.D. Abella of the Anti-VOW Division of the Women and Children Protection Center, respected members of the press. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat at salamat sa pagsunod ninyo sa lahat ng aming mga activities, ang pagbibigay ninyo ng espasyo sa inyong mga pagsusulat para ipaliwanag sa taong bayan kung ano ang kahulugan ng 18 araw na advokasya para sa ikalulutas ng suliranin sa violence against women. I am taking this opportunity to thank the prime movers of this campaign, from the smallest campaign events at the barangays, schools, organizations, and offices to the municipal, city, provincial, regional, and national settings. This is part of a global campaign. Their campaign is 16 days, ours is 18 days. So their campaign has just ended and ours will be ending tomorrow. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat sa pamahalaan, civil society at non-government organizations, state universities and colleges, local government units, government-owned and controlled corporations, kabataan, kalalakihan, lahat ng pamayanan, at ang mga development partners at UN agencies, lalong-lalo na po ang UNFPA, walang hanggang pagpupugay sa suportang inyong ibinibigay. Maraming salamat po. The Orange Movement, this is what I'm wearing now. This orange that you saw in the social media, in offices, and in many places might have just meant nothing but a color. But it sent a powerful signal that there are many of us who are opposing violence against women. And to tell you an anecdote, I live in Tayabas City, and they oranged the whole city. And then my friend sent me a message saying, one of the offenders was asking, what is this craziness all about? And they said, it means that if you continue beating a woman, these people are the ones who will be running after you. And he said, oh, scary. So everyone who flashed an orange color during the campaign has metaphorically shouted out in their heart that it is time to stop violence. Orange has many meanings, but both as the color of autumn and in Confucianism, the orange color means transformation. In our campaign, it means a transformed and transformative life for both the offenders and the victim survivors. When we become an orange champion, we engineer a positive transformation. Violence against women remains a global pandemic, as you know. It affects 1 in 3 women, or an estimated 641 million individuals worldwide, which is more than 5 times the Philippine population. The 2022 National Demographic and Health Survey conducted by the Philippine Statistics Authority revealed nearly 1 in 5 Filipino women have experienced emotional, physical, or sexual violence at the hands of their current or most recent intimate partner. The men they love and who vowed to protect them have become women's primary source of fear. Imagine being in the midst of 641 million faces with bleeding lips, bruised faces, injured eyes, broken nose, sliced fingers, and a crushed dignity and a tattered spirit. Imagine that. Ending violence against women is not merely a human rights and moral imperative. It is essential for building a just, equitable, and peaceful society, and it is indispensable to human growth, happiness, and fulfillment. Moving forward, we will continue to stand against gender-based violence and collaborate in the implementation of the National Action Plan to end VOW through prevention, response, and enabling structures. As President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. said in his statement, let us unite with a renewed sense of purpose to break the cycle of violence. Through collective action, informed policies, and deep community engagement, we can work towards a bagong Pilipinas where every woman is seen, heard, lives free from fear, and is empowered to thrive in society. Together, we can make a difference. Let us all be united for a vow-free Philippines. Sa bagong Pilipinas, ayaw natin ang dahas. Tumulong po tayo. Salamat po sa inyo.
From the DOJ.
Yes, good morning, everyone. On behalf of Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla, I repeat his powerful words. Violence against women should have no place in a society where rule of law reigns supreme. This is a call to action for each and everyone in being a catalyst for change and awareness about the perils that lurk among our women. In response to Secretary Remulla's call to action, the DOJ has implemented several critical programs aimed at combating all forms of violence against women, particularly in crimes significantly affecting more women compared to men, such as trafficking in persons, where 76% of recorded victims in 2024 were women. The department's policy on proactive involvement of prosecutors in case build-up and investigation yielded positive impact on the prosecution of said cases. As of the third quarter of 2024, the DOJ has an 82% prosecution success rate for human trafficking cases. In the same period, the DOJ has an 80% prosecution success rate for cases filed under RA 9262 and an 88% prosecution success rate for cases of rape. The department also launched various educational campaigns to raise awareness about different forms of violence against women. First is the premiere of the Bawal ang Bastos video, which highlighted the department's commitment to the full implementation of the Safe Spaces Act. We also launched a local chapter of the Men Opposed to Violence Against Women Everywhere, or MOVE, underscoring the role of male employees and officers in ending violence against women. To address the root causes of proliferation of violence, such as cultural stigmas and victim-blaming attitudes that hinder reporting and seeking help for victims of violence, the department launched its nationwide campaign targeting grassroots communities through its Barangay Iyakat program in partnership with various local government units all over the country. In the workplace, the department is committed to being more gender balanced and inclusive. 53% of its officers, those holding directorship or higher positions, are females. The DOJ is likewise committed to creating a safe working environment that uplifts women officials and employees. By strengthening its Gender and Development and Special Protection Office, a one-stop shop for victims of gender-based violence, and by having a zero-tolerance policy on sexual harassment in the workplace. In line with this year's theme, Vow, Bigyang Wakas, Ngayon na ang Oras, the Department of Justice Action Center, which renders legal assistance to the general public, has established priority lanes for victims or complainants of violence against women. From these programs, the Department of Justice stands committed not only in responding to incidents of violence against women, but more so in preventing them. The DOJ calls on everyone to come together and create a society where every woman can live with dignity, safety, and respect. Maraming salamat po.
Okay, thank you. Next, we will have the DSWD, and after that, the PNP.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone, especially to our respected and media partners. The Department of Social Welfare and Development, and on behalf of our Secretary Rex Gatchalian, as the chairperson of the Interagency Council on Violence Against Women and Their Children, is honored to be part of this press conference, which is very timely because we are still observing the 18-day campaign to end violence against women. Through the shared efforts of the members of the interagency, both from the national, regional, and local level, we continue to harmonize initiatives and build stronger systems to protect the rights and dignity of women and their children across the country. Among the notable accomplishments of the Council is the establishment of barangay vow desks in over 39,619 barangays nationwide, serving as the first line of responders to cases of abuse. Additionally, the Council continues to strengthen referral systems such as the VOW Referral Service, which ensures victim survivors access to social support, legal assistance, medical services, and temporary shelter. These efforts are bolstered by our ongoing work to develop a national service directory that maps available services for VOWSI victim survivors and ensures they are accessible at the local level. We are also advancing a harmonized data system to improve the collection and analysis of vow-related information across all agencies. This is in partnership, of course, with the Philippine Commission on Women and the UNFPA. These initiatives seek to reduce the re-traumatization of victim survivors by streamlining their interactions with different service providers. This system, once fully implemented, will not only enhance case management but also form evidence-based policy development and program planning. On top of this, our education and advocacy campaigns, such as the annual 18-day campaign to end vow, continue to raise awareness and inspire collective action at all levels of society. We also support the Men Opposed to Violence Everywhere, a group dedicated to engaging men as allies in fighting against gender-based violence. And of course, in the DSWD, as the lead agency in social welfare, we implement also a wide range of programs and services designed to provide immediate, comprehensive, and sustainable assistance to victim survivors of violence. Our programs and services include counseling services for the rehabilitation of perpetrators of domestic violence. This community-based intervention targets male perpetrators of domestic violence, offering counseling sessions aimed at transforming abusive behavior and breaking the cycle of violence. This program promotes healing and prevention, addressing the root causes of domestic violence. We have also centers and residential care facilities nationwide. We operate these facilities across the country, providing 24-hour temporary or long-term shelter for victim survivors of VOWSI. We have also the assistance to individuals in crisis situation, the Sustainable Livelihood Program, which empowers VOW victim survivors by enhancing their socio-economic capacity through technical training, livelihood support, financial assistance. This program helps also rebuild their lives and gain the economic independence necessary for them to thrive. We have also the women-friendly spaces during disaster, especially in emergency or crisis. These women's spaces are established in evacuation centers or communities to cater to the specific needs of women. These spaces provide gender awareness, education, psychological first aid, reproductive health services, and access to livelihood opportunities, fostering safety and empowerment even in the most challenging circumstances. we are also celebrating the 20th anniversary of the RA 9262, which establishes the Interagency Council on Violence Against Women. And we would like to reiterate that in ending violence against women, we are all stakeholders here, including the media. The reason why we want to thank the media for this, and of course the PCO. Lahat tayo dito ay stakeholder. We all have a part to play. We all have our role to fulfill. Thank you very much.
Good morning. The Philippine National Police is one with the Filipino people in the campaign for a vow-free Philippines. In fact, for a regular or an ordinary police officer, every day is a day of campaign to end vow. The WCPC, or the Women and Children Protection Center, specially mandated to investigate all forms of violence against women and children, has long been at the forefront in protecting women and providing necessary assistance, such as emergency protection of victim survivors from further trauma, determination of a violation of a law, obtaining evidence necessary for protection, and filing of the case in court. As we speak, 5,310 women police officers who are trained to handle sensitive cases involving women and children are manning 1,881 women and children protection desks nationwide. The WCPC employs a systematic way of recording incidents of violence against women through the PNP Crime Incident Reporting and Analysis System, or the CIRAS. From January 1st to November 30th of this year, a total of 11,636 of such incidents were recorded, showing that violence against women remains to be a challenge for law enforcement. However, it is also worthy to note that out of this figure, 11,522 are cleared, 7,025 of which are solved, and only 114 are still under investigation. On the other hand, the PNP vow referral process is simple, victim-centered, and confidential. It goes without saying that WCPD personnel are adequately trained and properly equipped to handle vow cases. Along with its investigative function, the WCPC provides other forms of assistance to vow victims, such as referring them to the PNP Forensic Group or to the nearest government hospital for medico-legal, physical, and psychological evaluation, or to the local Social Welfare and Development Office. If an immediate response is needed, such as when the life of the victim survivor is in danger, a rescue operation is promptly coordinated to protect the victim from further harm. The WCPC also maintains its Aling Police Helpline, a 24/7 hotline for calls or messages for assistance. The WCPC continuously implements information campaigns in schools, local communities, other government offices, and even in the private sector as part of its awareness and advocacy initiatives to end or to address vow. Infomercials are also regularly posted on the PNP Women and Children Protection Center's Facebook page. These awareness campaigns help educate the public about the severity of vow, as well as encourage victims to come out in the open and speak up. Violence against women is a pressing societal issue that requires societal action. Individually, as separate agencies or organizations, we can only do so much. But through a whole-of-society approach, by working together to address these horrendous crimes, we can create a safer community or a safer society where everybody, regardless of gender, are able to thrive and achieve their fullest potential. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the briefing. Now we open to questions. We have a question from Raquel Bayan, Radyo Pilipinas.
Good morning po. To Chair Ermelita, Ma'am, you mentioned kanina 1 out of 5 Filipinas nakakaranas po ng pang-aabuso. With all the programs and yung awareness na ginagawa natin, nakakita na po ba tayo ng improvement dun sa number na yun?
Una po, meron po tayong problema sa pagtatala ng numero. Ang sabi po ng Philippine National Police, isa lamang sa 10 kaso ang nai-report. So reporting is a problem because this kind of problem is more preferred to be kept within the confines of the family. Nahihiya po sila. Yung iba po hindi nagre-report kasi wala po silang tiwala doon sa kanilang pinagre-reportan o kaya hindi nila alam kung anong gagawin nila at hindi rin nila alam kung anong magiging resulta ng kanilang paglapit sa kanilang pagsusumbungan. So, ang gagawin po talaga natin dyan ay dapat nabantayan natin ang nangyayaring violence kahit hindi sila magsumbong. Pag sa community po kasi alam nila they know when there's violence against women going on. So as long as they can record the data, even if it is not official, at least we will have a basis. I know that the DILG is trying to set up a watch group, violence against women watch group. So this is like an NGO, not a government entity, but this is a vital tool for generating data. Sa tingin ko po, kailangan natin ng scientific study para malaman natin kung anong pagbabago. Dahil mahirap po, it's difficult to capture the changes in the minds of people and society. But if you will look at the time when I was still young, so I'm 70 years old. So when I was still young, there's not even a term violence against women. It's not being talked about. And if you are a woman and you talk about it, you are the one who will be blamed by society. And you are seen to be the one who is guilty of provoking violence. So I think we have come a long way. My father was barangay captain for 22 years and we are producing lambanog. It's coconut vodka, and every day there are people who are drunk. They distill the vodka in the morning, in the afternoon they fight and they beat their children and their wives. And they come to our place, they sleep in our place. And my father has had to think of various innovative ways of dealing with it. Counseling, long before counseling was introduced, dischero, which is asking the man to stay away from this barangay for 20 days. And if you are seen within that period, you will be apprehended by the barangay tanod. So, and even scaring them that if you continue to do that, the new people's army might come and get you. So this days no more like this. Barangay captains do not have to invent or think about strategies because it's provided under the law. There are protocols on how to handle the cases. So, if I may just say that it will really take time. Not overnight, but it will take time and it will take a good gathering of data to be able to proudly say that something is happening in the positive direction. And as they have reported, there are services now everywhere. Unlike before when it is not even talked about. So let's hope that all of these services happening, and we have a new action plan on violence, ending violence against women, which is heavy on prevention. Because no matter how many responses or how good your responses are, it's not going to end unless you treat the behavior that causes violence. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, sa PNP po, when you said 11,000, from the record last year, 11,000 were cleared and 7,000 were solved. Ano po yung difference ng cleared sa solved? At saka meron na po ba tayong data? How about 2024 naman po?
Yeah, I was talking about this year. Actually, the 11,636 is the recorded data of VOW from January 1st to November 30 of this year. And I mentioned 11,522 are cleared, and out of the 11,522 cleared, 7,025 are solved. So when we say cleared, at least one of the suspects is identified and a case has been filed, while when it is when the suspect is arrested, case has been filed, then it's considered solved. So yung cleared po is including na po dun, kasama na po dun yung solved. Thank you.
Okay. Pia Gutierrez, ABS-CBN.
Following po kay dun sa nabanggit po ni Chairman, we understand that violence against women, particularly po dun sa mga intimate relationships, are not almost always not only just physical violence, involves physical violence, but it also involves psychological, economic, and even emotional abuse and manipulation, which makes it harder for women to report much less and ito pong mga abusive relationships. So may nabanggit nyo rin po, there's also the cultural aspect. So given these complications po, ano po yung mga programs natin to empower women to report and end abusive relationships. And also, if there are programs in po tayo na focus po on men, particularly dun po sa nabanggit nyo pong prevention aspect.
Ang kababaihan po natin ngayon, kakaiba na kaysa sa kababaihan noon. So, even if they don't have the full competence in identifying what kind of case they have to bring to the police, they know exactly when they are being abused. They know exactly where to go because the women's desk of the police is also popular, and also the barangay women's desk are also popular. So, I think they have more capacity now to report, and the Philippine Commission on Women is not a direct service agency. We are in the policy level, but we are conducting advocacies and information campaign. And this violence against women campaign is part of a broad strategy of the government of the Philippines on gender equality and women's empowerment. So on one side, you empower women. On the other side, you promote gender equality, in which you also bring the women as the men as partners to this. So on the part of the men, as they have mentioned already, we have the MOVE, Men Opposed to Violence, and this is nationwide. Hindi lang po sa dalawang agencies, kundi sa lahat po yan. And we are dreaming to be able to make the next year campaign as something that is led by men, where they will be the one to speak up and talk about how men can change and control their behaviors, because they are also victims of culture. We have went back to the origin, yung alamat ng violence against women. And if you will have the chance to know that, you will realize that violence against women have been used by the colonizers to really conquer half of our population, make them stupid so that they can colonize the country for 333 years. So that's what they did to women. But anyway, we also have a referral center at the Commission on Women. So they actually have to go to the police, but there are also cases where they are being brought to the Philippine Commission on Women, because we are the Commission on Women. We are supposed to be able to respond. So we have hotlines, and we also have direct partnership with the service agencies. For example, in the response system, there are legal assistance from the PAO, and there are also units in the Department of Health Hospital so that they can discern the type of injuries being shown by women, so that they can say that this is a victim of violence against women. We have to alert the police. The women, we campaign for women's empowerment so that they can assert and they could defend their rights when necessary. Asserting their right is important because violence against women is a question of power. If they are abusing a woman and the woman is not able to assert or defend her right or even articulate that this is against the law, then all the more that you enable the offender to abuse you. So empowerment of women is very important. It's also very important that they know how to rear their children, because there is such a thing as intergenerational transmission of violent behavior. So if they do not take the children away from that culture of violence in the home, then chances are girls and boys will also have a relationship like that, and the cycle gets perpetuated. So education of families is very important, but that is also under the Department of Social Welfare and Development. Yes po.
Okay, can we have Eden Santos, Net 25?
Good morning po, ma'am. Yun po mga surrogacy scheme in Cambodia wherein 13 Pinoys po were rescued. Do you consider them as victims of violence against women?
If it is against the will of the women, if they have been cheated, it is.
Ano po ninyo matutulungan itong mga Pinoys na ito once na nakabalik na po sila ng Pilipinas?
Well, they will have to be referred to an interagency, because we are interagency. So we need the support of the DSWD, the Department of Justice, and I think they have very concrete action on this because this falls already under trafficking, trafficking in persons, and we have a very strong law on trafficking in persons. So I would like to ask our Department of Justice representative to talk about their program.
Yes, under Philippine law, there is such a thing as non-punishment principle. So for those who are victims of trafficking, but during the course of their victimization, that they commit acts of trafficking themselves, they are not punished. This is under the non-punishment principle. Unfortunately, Cambodia does not have the same policy. But in the Philippines, we follow that. So the stand of the Interagency Council Against Trafficking is that the Filipinas who are involved in the surrogacy scheme in Philippine law are not to be punished because we follow the non-punishment principle.
Harley Valbuena, DZME.
Ay, good morning po. I believe nabanggit din po kanina na violence against women also happens in the workplace. So may we know ano po yung sectors of work na usually maraming incidents ng ganito? And sino po usually yung perpetrators?
Where power imbalance exists, violence against women predominates. So marami kaming pinagdaanan ng mga ahensya na, sabihin ko ba dito, for example, NLRC, na yung boss nila are soliciting favors from young women who have cases that they are bringing to the office. So, noon po kasing wala pa yung ano ba yun? Yung 7788. So, nung wala pa po yun, nagkaroon po kami ng meeting ng mga government officials and across the country, and all of them were talking about sexual harassment. May pangalan pa. So, sa education, 4 or kwarto road test. So, may pangalan pa ang sexual harassment, and that was the beginning of the advocacy to have the law on anti-sexual harassment. So, Department of Education was one field because of the power structure. Ang mga teachers, babae, ang mga principal supervisors, mga district, lahat sila lalaki. So where there's imbalance of power, there's always sexual harassment and abuse. Kaya po, kakabit yan ng advocacy namin na i-promote naman natin ang mga kababaihan sa matataas na profesyon. At yun po Magna Carta of Women natin, sinasabi na 40 to 60% mag-target tayo, but it's not happening because the advocacy is not also happening at the ranks of the women. And that is one thing, I'm very new in the Philippine Commission on Women, 5 months or so. But this is one thing that we will look into, the monitoring of the Magna Carta of Women implementation to make sure that our people in the government, for example, or even in the private sector where women predominate, are not being victimized. Mahirap po kasing mag-monitor dahil ang mga data po natin ay hiwa-hiwalay. So ang lumalabas po sa civil service, for example, mga percentages na lang, but we would like to go into specific agencies, especially the agencies where women predominate.
When you said DepEd po, you mean schools? Mataas po yung violence or abuse against women?
Opo. Opo. But the situation has changed na nga eh. So they are part of the Commission on Women because their secretary is a member of our board. And therefore, policies are being developed inside the boardroom of the Philippine Commission on Women, and things like this are being discussed. The Department of Education is number 1 in the world when it comes to gender parity, according to the Global Gender Gap Survey. But that is different. It's a different case. Attaining gender parity is different. So let's check on the most recent data on the sexual harassment, because the data that I've been telling you was before the adoption of the anti-sexual harassment law.
May I
Yes
add,
po.
Madam Chair? Yes, I mentioned a while ago that in the DOJ there is a zero tolerance policy on sexual harassment in the workplace. This is both for quid pro quo sexual harassment, meaning yung sexual favors in exchange for, let's say, promotion, or in exchange for favorable favorable conditions in the workplace or para hindi mapunish, no, that's quid pro quo sexual harassment. And at the same time, sexual harassment by creating uncomfortable and harsh working environments for women. So, for example, yung mga laging nagjo-joke, green jokes that make the working environment uncomfortable for women. Yun din, isa rin yung sexual harassment. So the DOJ is very clear on both of these types of sexual harassment na bawal po yan sa Department of Justice. We want to be an example to other agencies in the government to follow suit. Yung sinabi rin po ni Madam Chair, sinabi ko rin kanina that in the DOJ, 53% of our officers holding directorship positions or higher are females. This creates also a gender balanced approach. Ako po mismo, me personally, when Secretary Boying Rimulya included me in his administration, he wanted more assistant secretaries who are female dahil we bring a different perspective and we balance the perspectives in the department. So, hindi lang po ito salita, ito po ay gawa rin sa DOJ that we are creating safer working environments for the women in the department.
Okay. Maricel Halili, TV5.
Magandang umaga po. Chair, you mentioned about culture. Part ng nakagawian dito sa Pilipinas that cheating is normal. So can we consider cheating or being unfaithful to your partner a psychological abuse to women? Can women file complaint?
Parang may jurisprudence na po dyan eh. May isang judge na po na nag-issue ng decision na ang ganyang klaseng panloloko sa partner, siguro mababae o malalaki, is a psychological abuse and it is punishable under the law. We can provide you with a copy of the jurisprudence. So, hindi pa, na-test po yan doon sa jurisprudence, pero hindi pa nasusundan. Kaya sana merong mga lumitaw because we also need them to advance the implementation of the law.
And meron po kayo na-mention kanina na 1 out of 5 women yung nakaka-experience ng abuse. I understand we still don't have enough data dahil nga dun sa reporting problems. But based on the data that we have, kailan po nangyari itong 1 out of 5 na abuse? And ano yung nakikita nating trend? Is it increasing? Is it decreasing?
Sa survey po ito ng PSA, no? So, parang every 4 years yata sila nagso-survey. What year was that? 2022. So another 2 years to find out whether it will be going down or going up. But even if it goes up, it could only probably be a factor of being enlightened about reporting. Kasi nga kahit naman po sa PSA, hindi pa rin sila honest masyado kung gusto nilang pagtakpan ng situation ng kanilang pamilya. But nevertheless, whatever is being released by the PSA is something that we take seriously regardless of the factors that constrain the data collection process. But sa ibang bansa po kasi, tumataas yung population. Sa atin tumataas din ang population. So it's also likely that there will be increases. But it's also probable that if we do nothing, then the increases will be tremendous than when we do something like this.
Okay, last question. Christian Lisores, Radios sa East Trento.
Good morning po. Chair, you mentioned kanina na yung ilan sa mga cases ng VAUSI, mas prefer nila na hindi na lang magsumbong at i-keep na lang sa kanilang mga families. Pero yung mga kapitbahay, for sure alam din nila yan.
Yeah.
How do we strike a balance po doon? Ano ba yung papel, anong pwedeng maging papel ng community in taking actions doon sa mga na-witness nila na mga VAUSI cases? Hanggang saan sila pwedeng umaksyon o makialam? Kasi syempre, yung ibang mga victims sasabihin nila, kami na bahala dito as a family, wag na kayong makialam. Anong pwedeng gawin doon?
Kasi po ang violence against women is a public crime. So pagka may nakita po kayo na isang babae na binubugbog sa harap ninyo, you can actually intervene in a way that you will not put yourself in danger. ang mga nakaka-witness po ng ganito, kailangan po silang ma-educate din kung paano ang pag-intervene. Wala po kasi time protocol for intervening eh. Yun po ang isa naming isinusulong na i-educate natin ang publiko kung anong mga steps. Pwede ba tumawag muna tayo dun sa hotline? Pagkatapos, saka tayo lalapit at hindi tayo nag-iisa, lalo na kung ikaw ay teenager, no? So, you have to also take care of your own self in the process. Mga kapitbahay, talagang, ano po, di ba, marites, ano? So, yung mga marites, siguro i-positivize natin. Na sa halip na pag-usapan lang nila yung kanilang mga sariling opinion, tingnan din nila ano yung mga factors na nagpapalala doon sa dynamics ng mag-asawa. Kasi meron po talaga mga drivers of violence, kagaya nga nung mga paglalasing, mga pagsusugal, yung wala laging pera, pinagkagawan ang pera, yung mga pagdidisiplina sa mga anak. So, tingnan yung mga drivers of violence at yun po ang tutukan ng mga tumutulong kagaya ng DSWD at DILG. Yung mga nasa barangay po ng mga workers, kailangan din nating maging kakampi dahil alam nila yan eh. Hindi lang nila alam kung paano sila lalapit at mapapakinabangan yung mga kaalaman nila sa buhay ng mga mag-asawa sa community. May follow-up question po kayo?
President Marcos just recently signed yung EO 79, yung pagtatag po ng Makabata Program and Makabata Helpline.
Ayan.
May magiging papel po ba ang any of the agencies dito?
Good morning, everyone. We welcome actually and thank President Marcos on signing the Makabata program. This institutionalizes the Makabata Helpline, if you know po yung 1383, and the DSWD will be the lead agency in implementing the Makabata program. The CWC will monitor the implementation as our attached agency. But yes, actually it is not only the DSWD that will implement the Makabata program, but also the member agencies like DOJ, PCW also, and the PNP. And most especially the role of the local government unit in ending violence against women and their children. And we will include also ending violence against children. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much to our distinguished guests. Thank you for reaffirming the Marcos administration's commitment to protecting the rights and welfare of every woman by addressing all forms of violence against women, whether physical, psychological, or sexual, alongside other forms of harm. Thank you, Chairperson Valdeavilla. Thank you, ASEC Falacuna, ASEC Lapus, and Lieutenant Colonel Abella. This concludes our press briefing.
Pakpan po natin ang press natin.
Thank you, Malacanang Press Corps. Have a good day.
Salamat po. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.